Hello, good evening. Welcome to day 20 of our Bible reading. So, yesterday we have read Genesis chapter 39 about Joseph and Potiphar's wife, where, you know, Potiphar's wife has been trying to seduce Joseph and not being able to seduce him. She plotted she plotted something bad against him where he ended up being in prison, right? So today we will read chapter 40, but before we go ahead, please like, share, subscribe, and also comment to my channel, which is Spend Time with God. I feel very happy to spend time with God, at least, just by reading the Bible, reading His Word, right? That is how we will know Him better. That is how He will communicate to us, right? So I request you all, whoever's watching, to please join me as well on my journey, and we can all get to know God better through His Word, right? So before we go ahead, let us read the verse of the day according to the YouVersion. Matthew chapter 6 verse 34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I think just from my personal experience, what I've also noticed, worrying about tomorrow, it's really pointless. It doesn't lead us to, it doesn't give us any answers, it doesn't give us any conclusion. It just will only end up being worried more and more as we think about tomorrow, right? So we might as well just live in the present, right? So yeah, I mean, why waste our thought process, why waste our time, thinking about tomorrow? Because tomorrow, just think about it as tomorrow will be a usual day. Probably pray when you wake up, and surrender your day to God, and He will lead us accordingly, right? So let's keep that in mind. All right, so let's go ahead into reading the chapter. Genesis chapter 40. Here we will be reading about the cupbearer and the baker. So sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was very angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked Pharaoh's officials, who were in custody with him in the master's house, "Why are your faces so sad today?" "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." Can you imagine if in today's world we had somebody who could interpret our dreams, right? I mean, I really almost have dreams almost every night. And most of my dreams I do remember at least the next day. Of course, now I don't remember the dreams that I had from a week ago, but at least the next day I do remember my dreams. But it'll be nice to, nice and scary to know, to have somebody interpret our dreams. What if it's bad? Like here we'll know, right, of the instances where one of them will end up dying, right? So yeah, it's both scary and also interesting. So then Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." So the chief cupbearers told Joseph his dream. He said to him, "In my dream I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were three branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand." "This is what it means," Joseph said to him. "The three branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in the hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. For I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, "I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." "This is what it means," Joseph said. "The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat away your flesh." Wow, that sounds scary. Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer of his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. I mean, that's very selfish, right? I think he might have remembered, but he just brushed it off, because at last he's out of prison. He's free from being stuck in a dungeon for every day of your life, right? So that's usually what happens, right? Sometimes in desperate needs, right? We will come across people who would be like really desperately begging for something, right? But then they'll make all sorts of promises. Sometimes it even happens with us too, right? We'll make lots of promises, but then once we get it, we'll be like, you know what? Maybe I'll do it next time, or maybe if when the right time comes, or something like that. That's usually, I mean, especially when it comes to you know silly things, like work, or postponing our work because we really did not get into trouble, or we were somehow uh, given some leeway when it comes to doing the work, right? So we are at the end of chapter 40. Tomorrow we will do, oh sorry, not tomorrow, tomorrow is a Sunday. So what I've decided is every Sunday I will take a break, because I'm usually at church right from morning till evening, because we usually attend our church members service in their house. We take turns to have services in our houses, so it's really a full day. I'll be packed, busy the whole day. So I thought on a Sunday I will skip reading the Bible, but we will continue again on Monday, right? So on Monday we will read chapter 41, where we will be reading about Pharaoh's dreams. Okay. All right. So until here we see how Joseph, right? We do know that Joseph ends up being in prison for many years. 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think we will read about that. But still, in spite of the many years that he is in prison too, right? The amount of patience, the amount of love for God, right? There's nowhere that he, says that, I will not worship my God anymore because he is keeping me in prison. But God's timing is perfect. I think it's with all of us too, right? God's timing is perfect. So even though it'll be slow, God will take his time, but God's timing is perfect. All right. So Let's meet again tomorrow. Please help, share, subscribe, and also comment. And I hope you all have a good day. I hope you all have a good night. And you all take care. Bye bye.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. He's been my fourth man in the fight, time after time, born of His Spirit.